that came out last month.
Just a few days ago, right? August
Oh
28th.
well, I forget this is September. So yeah, it came out the end of August, August 28th. Came out. Keith Harris Experience Volume One.
Yeah.
It's been doing very well, and over the summer I released several singles to preempt the EP. So that's really kept me busy. Super excited about that. Like I said, for me, the most important thing I've been doing is just really trying to focus on family, and making sure my kids get a chance to spend a lot more time with me. Because when I'm gone, I'm gone. You know, I'm gone for
Yeah,
months.
for
So
sure.
yeah, I'm really just taking advantage of that and enjoying getting a chance to focus on myself as an artist, because I normally don't get a chance to do that.
Well, that's really nice. Do you think that you wrote a lot of the Keith Harris experience during quarantine, or was this something that was like before and kind of wrapped up during it?
I've had this project in pocket for about 2 years,
Oh, wow.
but it's the other things that came during quarantine, like getting able to lock in a distribution deal that happened this year, getting a wonderful marketing team, Vampire, out of New York, that's helped me push the project. Just locking in with my administrators, Royalty Network out of New York, and just getting my team together, my creative team, shooting videos during quarantine. That's been the amazing thing about this time, where the streets of LA has been kind of quiet. So you've been able to, like, guerrilla style, shoot a video without people walking through it and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
And no traffic.
Exactly. So you have a live action movie set ready to go for you. So those type of things, just trying to navigate creatively during this time is what I've been kind of focusing on.
Very cool. So, what was your inspiration for this album? I know you drew from a lot of genres and from a lot of places. So, like, what's your main goal with this release?
Well, the inspiration came from Chicago, pure and simple. It kind of chronicles a lot of my influences growing up in Chicago, where you have your footwork music. That's like really fast music, like 160 BPMs, where kids with their little feet doing. I can't do that, but that was a big part of my growing up in Chicago house music. So my project chronicles those songs, like with "Get It." That's a deep house song, and then it combines it with all of my pop influences too, from working with the P's and Fergie and all the other artists I've worked with. So that transfers over to Jordan Sparks. I have two songs with her, and I also have a song with Estelle. So it's just all of those influences put in one big pot, for everybody to digest, and I think it came across very well.
Very cool. So, what was the easiest song to make on the album? Like, which one came out of you the most
The,
naturally, and which
the
one
most
gave you the
natural,
most, and which one gave you the most problems?
I would say the easiest one that flowed, I would have to say "Push Through It." That's a song that me and my good friend from Chicago, Raynard Hughes, we wrote together. Like I said, that's just all energy from what we do, and just his voice is very energetic. He's like the new school hype man that you need to have just to get you going.
Uh-huh.
I think the one that was the hardest to craft for me, I would have to say "Solid Gold," because it had to be right. And what I mean by that, Jordan's vocals are amazing. It was more so me making sure the music gives as much power as her performance did vocally.
Hmm.
So, sometimes when you do that, you have to take things away. You know, when we do tracks as a musician and producer, sometimes you're like, I need to hear all the things I added in, but it fights with the vocal space. So that was the one I had to really kind of craft and carve out a really nice space for her vocals to breathe, but yet still having the intensity and in the movement of the track.
Very cool. So,
Yeah.
you said you grew up in Chicago. I know you started working in gospel music. How do you
Oh
think
yeah.
that has kind of, I know it's a long path from there to where you are now, but how do you think that that has kind of guided you down the road?
Oh well, I think it's even more so a mental and spiritual thing as well as musically. Musically, that's the first place where I was encouraged to be creative. Um, I didn't grow up with a lot of people in my family doing music. My mom sang and she played piano, so she would show me, certain things. And when I first started or had interest in music, I didn't have any instruments or nothing like that. So I started out on like an ice cream bucket with two pins, you know what I'm saying? And just making drums and stuff like that. So when I went to church for the first time, that's where it really hit me like, I really want to do this. I love music. And then that church, New Friendship Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago, they really showed me love. They would open the church and let me go in the sanctuary and play, me and my best friend, Joseph Nixon. They didn't have to do that, but they saw something in me and they saw my passion and wanting to play the instruments that they would just let me do it. And by the time I was about 14 or 15, I was the minister of music of my church, playing organ. So that was a very instrumental part of my musical upbringing and just me as a human. I learned about charity. I learned about community because literally a member of my church co-signed for me to go to college.
Wow.
So they really believed in me. People that's not my blood family or relatives supported me. They would send me boxes of ramen noodles when I was in college, like a care package. They would have church programs, services for me to send me off with money for school and stuff like that.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah, it was a very big part of my foundation, and just being humble and appreciating people giving to the community and supporting the arts.
For sure. That sounds like a lot of support. That probably made it
Yeah.
a lot easier when you were taking such a big leap to go off to school, right?
Yeah, it did. It made it easier because it felt like your family was still there. Even, my my immediate family and also my church family, they all had my back. So that for me, in going to school and trying to be a professional musician, I felt like I couldn't fail. I ain't had no options, because these people invested so much in me, and literally to go to school, I can't mess this up, So
Yeah.
I even feel like that today. Like a lot of people helped me to get to this point. So I have a lot of gratitude and fuel to keep going because they paved the way for me.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So you went to school at Berkeley,
Yep.
and what was the first moment that you kind of realized like, hey, I can really do this for my career, like where you really got the confidence to take it to the
Mhm.
next level?
Well, for me, Berkeley was a very intimidating place because you had a small community of really dope people, and
Hmm.
then you see all the people that have went there before you, and it's like, man, you got this name stamped on you. You got to be somebody. It was very intimidating, but yet I found my place, it was a lot of people I looked up to that are doing big things in the industry now. We all went to school together. And I looked up to them because some of them made it out and went on tours and did different things before I even left college. So I'm like, man, I want to do that too, blah, 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 blah. But for me, my path was to learn a lot of different things that I use now. And some of those things are like arranging, uh, learning how to delegate large groups of people. Everybody don't have that skill.
Yeah.
But, when I was in college, I produced 100, 200 member choir
Wow.
uh, CD, live, live CD.
An entire CD?
Yes. So this is
Wow.
recorded live. I got all these people that I got to take care of: musicians, choir, the venue, recording. All this stuff was put on me at 18, 19 years old, doing live recordings in Boston when I was in college. So I say I learned a lot of those things because that helps me now with my musical director career, working with Backstreet Boys, Black Eyed Peas, Fergie, Estelle, all the people that I worked with, M. Dean. That's where my groundwork was laid back in Berkeley. So that place really helped me and molded me to be the producer and musical director and drummer that I am today.
That's awesome. So what was your first like big break that led you to working with like Madonna, the Black Eyed Peas, Usher? Like what was your first like foot in the door moment?
I think my first foot in the door moment was a Berkeley. It was a Berkeley clinic by this producer named Richard Young Lord Frierson. He was one of Puffy's hitmen back in the day. And he is the one who groomed me and took me under his wings and got me out of Boston. And, you know, I worked under him as a producer and engineer, just learning the ropes on how to make a pop song, a popular song. Not pop in the sense of like a Taylor Swift, but just learning how to make the sonics for songs for radio.
Mhm.
Because, you know, you come out of Berkeley with a whole bunch of knowledge, you know. You know, 4 years in is nothing. You can't tell me about a chord I can't play and transitions and deceptive resolutions and Picardy thirds. You know what I'm saying? I know all this knowledge and you just want to put it all in a song, you know? And then he helped me to say, nah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to do what feels right and it can't be over people's head. You got to communicate to the masses. And I was like, oh, okay. You want me to play 3 notes instead of 6. I gotta play triads instead of full out chords, you know. So, and that was hip hop, you know, in the '90s and early 2000s. So that taught me, you know, the real world and how it worked. And from there, that's when I had the opportunity of meeting Prince Board with the Black Eyed Peas. He was their musical director, and that led me to LA. Being the drummer for the Peas. My first gig with them was the Coachella. That was my first gig with the Black Eyed
Wow.
Peas, 2003. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, okay, I'm doing this gig with this group, the Black Eyed Peas. Okay. Then I get out there, I'm like, whoa, this is a full out.
Oh man.
Yeah. And you
Well, what
know,
was that like? What was that
oh
performance
my
like?
lord, oh my lord, it was crazy because I had never seen the Black Eyed Peas perform live ever, right? So, you know, if you follow the Peas, they are a very energetic group, especially 10 years ago. They were very, very energetic. So just trying to watch those guys. And this, like I said, this is all relative because this is like church to me. So Will is equivalent to the choir director. You know, he's the one heading off with the rhymes and rhythms and stuff like that. So I watch him, watch his body language. But then you got one guy jumping out in the crowd, Taboo, hyping up the crowd. So I got to watch that. Then you got Fergie, you know, interacting. So I got to kind of watch her to try to hit accents she's doing. And then you got Apple Diap doing his thing. And then they're all climbing up stuff. And then I'm still trying to read music because I just learned these songs maybe like 3 days before.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so I'm trying to read charts, read them, play drums, stay with the click, and do all this stuff at the same time. But like I said, my previous experiences working in church and all these other things prepared me for that moment. And from that moment, 2003, led me to a career with the Peas and working with will.i.am, making big songs. I'm a Bee, American Boy, Ritmo as of current. And it's like a 16, 17-year relationship and counting.
That's awesome. So yeah, I was gonna ask you about the Black Eyed Peas and all of that. Like, how did I'm a Bee happen? What was the Grammys like? Take me through just like your relationship with them.
Well, you know, my relationship started with that instance of playing the show. They kept me around, and you know, as we toured a lot, you know, everybody on the tour bus had their M Audio setups. You know, we had an M Audio keyboard, a little keyboard. We had our M Audio bag with you know, our laptops and stuff. So everybody had their mobile rigs. So I wasn't a very vocal person, but you know, I was producing, you know, and we would all share beats on the bus, on the tour bus. So on the band bus, we would all play beats. And they're like, oh my God, man, you sound pretty dope, blah, 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 blah. So word got back to will.i.am. So he invited me to the studio to start playing him stuff. And he's like, oh man, this stuff is great, blah, 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 blah. And our first song that we did together was for the movie Poseidon, where Fergie was an actress in the movie. And I did a ballad called Won't Let You Fall. And that was our first studio session that we did together. And from there, we kept working together. Our energy is like Batman and Robin. I mean, we did what I'm a Bee, and that's later on down the line. But that song I did the beat, and the original name of the session is called Hit,
Hmm.
because I felt that this song is a hit. I like, this beat is a hit. I know it. I feel it.
So you had the
So
beat before even the whole concept and the
yeah,
word.
exactly. No words, no nothing. It was just the beat that I did. And I named the session Hit. And I still have it in Pro Tools to this day, his original session. So I sent that to Will. I'm like, man, I got a beat I gotta send you. Sent it to him. So I know when Will likes something, he'll hit me back, he'll text me. He's like, hey, what's the BPMs? Hey, what key is it in? Because he's setting it up in the Pro Tools
He's
session.
already going.
Yeah, he's already going. So he gets the beat, he records it immediately, and then he's like, okay, this is what I need. All right, so I need the song to speed up, right? So I want you to take Michael Jackson's, the Jackson's 5, Can You Feel It? Not the A section, but the B section, but I want you to play the chords backwards, and then I want you to take the beat and speed it up to whatever BPMs. It started like 90 something. We sped it up to like 120 or something like that. So do all of that and send it back. So I'm like, okay. So a wonderful thing about me and Will, he can spit out things to me in the most random way. And
you
then
can
it's my
translate
job to make it cohesive musically and make it make sense. So after all of those things, I took some chords and I made it like Chicago House. I took some chords, made Chicago House, and I made the beat speed up. And I think that was like the first beat that went from 1 BPM to the next in a pop song. I could be wrong, but that one was kind of a legendary one.
them.
And, you know, to this day, that is one of my biggest songs. Actually, Ritmo is my biggest song right now. But, you know, yeah, that song went #1 in the States for 2 weeks. And that was one of my 2 Grammy Award winning songs.
That's awesome. Was that like your first like big super hit?
I would say yes. Between that, the End, Black Eyed Peas, the album End,
Yeah.
the End was my biggest album. That album, I had 4 songs on an album and 2 #1s personally that I produced and wrote. The 2 #1s were "I'm a Bee" and "Meet Me Halfway."
Okay.
And
Very
yeah,
cool.
and then "Meet Me Halfway" is a song that I got in a dream and I remembered it.
Wow, I know that one. Can you meet me halfway?
Halfway, around the borderline. Yep, exactly. So
That's
that
cool.
that I got that whole song in a dream.
Like the words or the beat?
The beat, all of the music,
So
and I
so would you say
remembered it.
that since you're kind of like a drummer at heart, do you normally come up with the beats and the grooves first?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
It's backwards for me. And sometimes it just depends on what hits me. But most of the time I get the chord structure right, because that's what makes the money. You got to have the chord progression, that $1 million chord progression. So for those particular songs, I would say Meet Me Halfway, I came up with the chords first, the bum, 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 bum. And then I'm a Bee is all drums. So
Yeah.
definitely, that's all drums. I came up with the drums, but what sets it off for me is the horn hit. The horn hit I sampled from this band called the Budos Band. And that just gets you going when you hear that.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm
So
with
yeah,
you.
yeah. So that's what set that up for me. But I'm a little bit of both. It just depends on who I'm working with and what we're trying to accomplish. I can start from either a drum bass or a keyboard.
Okay.
Bass as
So
well.
so when you're producing, writing songs, what are like your big key pieces of gear in your arsenal, software or hardware?
Yeah, software and hardware. Well, I'm here now in my studio. I have lots of goodies, but this is one of them. You gotta have a Fender Rhodes.
Nice.
My Rhodes. That's how I get my vibes. And then we're gonna go back over here. You gotta have your T-Rax and your IK multimedia goods. That's how my beats are banging. I definitely have that on my master fader when I did I'm a Bee to make sure the stuff cracks,
Which
And,
ones do you normally put on your master?
well, on my master right now from this session, this is an older session. I have the SPL Transient Designer. And then I also have the SSL compressor. And then, to top it off,
We're
I
taking
have,
notes over here.
yep. And then my T-Rex.
Oh, I can't see. Which one is that?
That is T-Rex
Footwork?
setting, T-Rex equalizer.
Oh, EQ. Okay.
Yep. And my preset I use is loud and clear.
Very nice.
Yep. So that's kind of like that was like my previous setup, and then as life progressed, now I use. I'll take y'all on this side over here. I don't know if y'all can see. This is Pro Tools over here. Then I got the transient shaper with slate. Of course, my SSL compressor right there. Then I have the soft tube tape emulator right there.
Nice.
And then also I might put on the drummer, and then I'll top it off with that. That's just for this particular session. But I always, like I said, I have that T-Rex. That's my go-to on my master to really make everything knock.
What are some of your favorite T-Rex plugins?
What? Let me see. T-Rex. Let me go over here so I can show y'all here. Let me open this up real fast. Actually, let me go on this one on my fast computer. See here. It's just so many. It's just so many I've been blessed with.
There are a lot.
Oh yeah. I definitely like my where is it? Let me see it right there. The saturator is amazing. Love using this on throw that on some vocals to really make them warm and get a little dirt on it. And then let me see, what's the other one I like to use? The brick wall. What is it? The brick wall. Yep. This guy.
Smacks.
Yep, smacks big time. And then of course my where is it at? I'm not even sure if it's gonna pop up. Let me see, hold on. And then where is that other guy? And here it is. And I've really been digging this the Sunset Sound Studio Reverb.
Oh yeah, that's one of our new T-Rex modules.
Yes.
Really, really epic, honestly.
Yeah.
I've been digging it too as well.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, you know. I love the presets and just all the, tweakability that it is and what you can do to it, but it sounds amazing.
I really love the vocal booth settings in there.
Yeah, it's really dope. It's really dope. I was very impressed with that. So that's just a couple. It's so many, but those are just my go-tos.
Very cool.
Yep.
Cool. So we'll do one more question and then we'll do a T-Rex giveaway for everybody watching so you can have some of those plugins that we just mentioned. So the last question is, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start music but has no idea where to start, no idea where to put their feet in?
Well, if you have no idea to start, you got to figure that out. And what I mean by that, you have to figure out what your voice is, whether that voice is electro, folk music, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a writer, whatever it is, you have to find what makes you happy. And in the music game, that's what makes people come to you, because the music is it's like a representation of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can really have longevity because their music is true to their personality and who they are. So it's kind of a vulnerable place to be, writing songs and even making music. I'm sure some musicians or producers don't really talk in these terms, but being creative and pulling something that wasn't even there, that's only on the inside of you, and you're making it a physical thing, manifesting it, that's a really vulnerable place to be, because then you have people that judge it and say, oh, that sucks, or blah, 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 blah. But to you, you brought it to life, and that means something. So that's why I say, just find out who you are and what you want to portray, because that's what's going to come out in your music. And it has to be authentic. And that's what's going to attract people to your sound or whatever it is that you do. So I just say stay authentic. Make sure you practice my 3 P's: prayer, practice, and patience. You know, pray, you know, to whomever power or whatever it is you to give you the focus to see things through and not to compare your path to somebody else's, because that'll throw you off your path. Practice, you gotta be proficient in what you do to make your job easier, and you gotta be ready to execute. So that's what practice is for. For me, that was practicing and doing all the things, like I said, in church and learning all these different things in college. So when my opportunity showed up with the Black Eyed Peas, I'm ready to execute.
You were ready, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. You know, I've been training for this. And then patience. You definitely got to have patience. I know that's so hard nowadays in the social media, popcorn, microwave, everything's fast world. But patience is a virtue, and you got to understand it. It's a skill that you're going to need throughout life, and you might as well start with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Everything doesn't happen overnight, but it'll happen in its correct and proper time. So you got to trust the process.
Very nice. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to give away a copy of T-Rex 5, which you just saw now. So we are going to ask a question and answer it in the comments. So what was one of Keith's Grammy-winning songs?
Do, 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 do.
You're like,
I can't tell you the answer. I already did. So.
Yep. It's a pretty easy one if you were paying attention. So,
Exactly.
all right. Well, check in the comments and I will personally type out the winner. But thank you so much for coming and talking with us today and supporting IK and just everything. Yeah, thank you so much.
Listen, IK and the family and all the artist reps and stuff that I've met over the years have been very gracious to me. So I appreciate those guys, and I appreciate you for interviewing me, and IK Multimedia for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk soon.